Tonight on Money Matters, I want you to imagine you were in an event. We've all been there. You can hear the music amping up. You can smell the popcorn. Your hands are sweating with enthusiasm and excitement. Your feet are slipping on the floor because the grease on the popcorn. And then the MC takes the mic and says, put your hands together. A warm, Lost Media Incorporated welcome. Put your hands together for Shawn Lawrence.
Thanks, Rod. That's quite the introduction there. I really appreciate it, and I'm happy to be a part of your community tonight. Hopefully we can share some insights that'll give some people some things to think about and help them dream again.
Awesome, Shawn. Thank you for being here in the pre-show huddle. We got to pitch and catch a little bit about our history in the industry, and I'm so excited. I have some friends that would know the details and be like, "What are you doing? Who are you talking to?" I'd say, I'm talking to another human being, and I believe when we talk about spiritual entrepreneurship, each one teach one. We're all in this together, and it's about helping people. We're here to serve, and that's all that matters. So with the time that we have, Shawn, thank you again for your contribution to our community and making time available for us tonight. And I'm just going to turn it over to you as you met some people. We have a few for the studio audience here for you to do questions and comments at the end of your share. With no further ado, Shawn, over to you.
Well, thanks, Rod. And like I said, it's a real privilege to be here in front of your audience tonight. And like you said, it's kind of funny, you know, there's a lot of different options out there for people right now in the financial industry. You used to be with a financial agency, and there's a few other out there. And, you know, it's kind of funny. We're all kind of after each other's business, but in a lot of ways, there's also room for what I call co-opetition. We talked about this in the pre-show that, you know, everybody's got a need out there. And really at the end of the day, it's about the client. It's not about what best serves me or what puts money in my pocket. And, you know, as you said in the introduction there, you know, last year I really had an epiphany that, you know, I've done all these great things in the tech industry, but I sat there with this empty feeling because I needed something that filled my heart as much as it filled my bank account. And the reason being is that, you know, there's so many people out there struggling. I don't know if you guys watch this hour is 22 minutes here in Canada. If you haven't, go look it up on YouTube. But they have a video there about the rising price of groceries and just how shocking it could be. I mean, it's a little over dramatized, but you can get the idea. This is what not just Canadians, but a lot of people are facing around the world. And really felt it was time that I needed to take a calling that made a difference in people's lives rather than just, you know, and there's a lot of people out there, you know, entrepreneurs, people like middle class, upper class, doesn't matter, that have some or little financial education and they don't know what's available out there for them. And so a lot of what I'm working on these days is just helping people understand what's out there. Maybe I'm not the best fit for you, but at least I'm going to show you what's available to you.
Yeah.
What I do for you doesn't cost you anything. So, hey, why not sit down with me and learn a few things and see what we can do?
Absolutely. I like this. We'll kind of pitch and catch here because sometimes some of our guests, they just going to talk, share their story. So I'll just throw a couple questions at you that kind of want to know how you ended up in financial services. I mean, for myself, just real quick, it was money that attracted me. I was introduced to a guy through a mutual friend. He was driving my dream car, almost like the movie Pursuit of Happiness. Like, what do you do? And, you know, how can who's your daddy? You kind of thing, you know, with Will Smith. It was an Audi TT 2-seater convertible roadster.
Yeah.
And this gentleman was earning quite a decent income in financial services. I didn't even know what that was at that point. The only thing I knew about money is I didn't have any. The only thing I knew about debt is I had too much. And I found out that was a lot of people. And at that point, Shawn, just so you know, I was working in a factory making $30 an hour, 70 grand a year with pension and benefits. Everybody in my town dreamed to work at General Motors. That was, you know, the plant. Yep. But I was introduced to network marketing in 1993, and they got in my head. I was 23 years old, impressionable, hearing about, you know, financial independence and goals and dreams. And, you know, things that trading time for money in a job was just never going to give me. And so I was receptive to when he shared with me that this company was looking for people and I just had to pass an exam and get 60%, and the rest is history. How about you? How did you end up in financial services?
Well, the funny thing is, like, so there's two sides to this story. I mean, my wife actually is my partner in our financial services part of our business, and she's been involved with it for over 10 years. So I mean, I've been exposed to the financial world for a long time, but also while I was in merger and acquisitions, the
Right.
biggest challenge that startups and even existing companies face is, where are they going to get capital from? Where are they going to get their money? And so I started, giving back to the business community,
Right.
helping them find capital. But even they were finding it was hard to do, and a lot of it was because, some cases, they didn't have their own financial house in order.
In order. Yeah.
They think that, just because they have a business that, hey, the business is going to be able to survive in its own right. But a lot of, at least in Canada, and I apologize to any of the other countries out there, I don't know maybe what you guys are facing, but
Yeah.
a lot of the banks here are tightening their wallets. They're making it harder and harder. And the options that are available to people are, unfortunately,
Yeah.
almost criminal.
Well, yeah.
And unfortunately, a lot of business owners are turning to this because that's the only thing they can get. But it's not just business owners; it's people out there working, like you said, those jobs at, say, a vehicle plant, or I know a guy that's working in the oil field that is making all kinds of money when he's
Right.
working. He was off here for a couple months, and it just about broke him.
Yeah. Yeah.
And this is what people are living with these days. And it's just that it's wrong. It's not something that, and don't get me wrong, I faced my own financial challenges in my life. I've not just had a golden spoon in my hand.
Right.
I've gone through my own adversity.
Yeah.
But what I've learned out of it is that people need help more than ever to be able to understand what's available, because they don't know what is available out there too.
That's true.
And it these days, and I think that it's not going to get easier. If anything, it's going to get harder. I mean, the statistic right now is 95% of Canadians will not be able to make it through their retirement with the money they have saved.
They have. Yeah. Yeah.
That's pretty sad.
It is. I mean, okay, so I got licensed in 2004. And I remember one of the first meetings I was at, Shawn, they drew the numbers on the board. Now, I was back reading at that point, Rich Dad, Poor Dad and Cash Flow Quadrant, obviously The Wealthy Barber. And I remember sitting in the meeting and they drew it on the board. It said, out of 100 people turning 65 in the year 2005, so this was 2004, they're talking about next year, right? Out of 100 people that are going to turn 65 next year, one will be wealthy. And they said, you need 5 million net worth, equity in your home, real estate, pensions, investment, all of that. Net worth for those that are maybe new to the class here. So that was 1%. Then they said 4%, Shawn, would be financially independent. They said you need 1 million to 4.9 million. And they drew a line. And I went, well, that's nice for them. What happens to the rest of us? And said, I don't know if I have these two reversed, but it was like 45% will still have to work, right? Walmart, McDonald's, Tim Hortons, Home Depot. And I mean, God love them. I mean, I don't like to judge, but I've been there. I've seen, Walter falling asleep there at the Walmart greeter. And we all want to think, man, I hope he's bored and he just wants something to do to fill his day. But unfortunately, I know differently because I did financial needs analysis in thousands of homes over a decade. And I now know that Walter's there for fear of outliving his savings, if he has savings at all. And that was 45%. But scarier than that was the last stat, 54% dead or dead broke, where they're a burden to their children because they have to move in with their children. And I just remember that meeting. It stuck with me. Here we are, however many years later, and I never ever forgot that. I don't think it's much better today with what you're sharing. I mean,
no, it's actually worse.
Cost of living's going up. Income, wages, and salaries aren't going up to compete. So people are going backwards, and they still are afraid to talk to someone. So, Shawn, I don't know what would you say if anything has to happen, or what is it you try to do to kind of get people to pull their heads out of the sand, if you will?
Well, like you talked about earlier, we all of us in the industry do some kind of a financial needs assessment.
Yeah.
But to basically see where you're at. So the three components that are the part of most people's lives is you have living expenses. So your food, your heat, your gas, your whatever it costs you just to keep the roof over your head and be able to go back and forth to work or whatever your case may be. Then you have there's two inevitable things in life: taxes and death.
Yeah.
Fortunately, they are lumped in the same category. People like them about as much, but
Yeah.
that's the other part. And then an inevitable part of our current society is debt, because everybody wants that, whether it's that new car or they want a house or whatever. The way they are able to do that is through debt.
Right.
And if they're fortunate enough, there's a slim sliver there for savings. That's a lot of people's problem is that sliver is a very small sliver. Right. And it's not significant enough to get them where they need to in retirement, or they have something catastrophic happen. They tried a business that went bad. They had a major incident in their house that their insurance didn't cover, something like that. And all of those savings that they had in a RRSP or something like that, they had to cash out because they needed emergency funds.
Yeah.
But the bigger thing is that when people get into problem with, say, the higher cost of living, which we have right now, instead of being able to put money away, they look at what they can cut out.
Right.
And it's not necessarily that they're cutting their debt; they're cutting their living expenses. So now instead of, God, that loaf of bread costs me a lot more now. What am I going to do? Well, instead of looking at how they could maybe pay off some debt and save some money every month, they're not buying that cup of coffee at Starbucks every week. They're not, they're looking at the wrong thing. So what we really do is we take a look at that whole picture, and sometimes that picture is a hard pill to swallow. But with the right advice and the right pieces in place, we've been able to save families $500 a month, even sometimes excess of $2,500 a month, just because we were able to educate them on a better way that they could handle their debt. Also put some proper protection in place, so if something happens, they're not screwed.
Right.
And then also give them a bit of savings so that we are building that emergency fund or whatever they need in case shit happens. So I don't know if I could say that, but
no, we're good. I tell my friends sometimes, I'm like, hey, I'm a Christian. I just cuss sometimes. It keeps my secular friends comfortable.
But it really is that people need that help out there to look at a different way of doing things. And it's because of what we were taught in school. We were taught. What were we taught in school? We were taught to throw our money into an RSP. We were taught to. And again, I don't know whatever tax savings plan you have or retirement savings plan you have in other countries. You're told to put your money into a retirement savings plan. You were told to leave it in there, and magically it was going to turn into these millions of dollars by the time you retire, and you'd be fine. But here's the other thing that happens. The older generation, like my parents' generation, they did that. But what they're finding is that because of the increased cost of living, now, though, that retirement that they thought was going to last them until they were 80, 90 years old, they're now in their maybe 70s or 75 and going, am I going to make it?
Am I going to make it? Yeah.
And that's even scarier part for a lot of these people. So
absolutely. Yeah. It's interesting. Oh, let me do my disclaimer here too for our listeners. I am not a licensed agent. I am just sharing some stories. There's my disclaimer. We have Teresa here. We have Shawn here, and they are qualified and licensed to share what they're sharing. I'm just sharing from past experience, and I got to share you a story real quick here. I'm looking at the time here, Donna. We're good. Go another 4 or 5 minutes here, and then we'll break for questions and comments. But you just talked about it, that I used to take a lot of flack because I used to beat up on banks a little bit. I'd say, they're not in the wealth creation business. They're in the debt creation business. Blah, blah, blah. I'd go on and on. My friends were like, Yeah, what do you know? Because I'm their friend, right? They're like, you know so much about financial services. Yeah, why don't you pay me back the $20 you've owed me for 4 years? Yeah, good point. Yeah, that's a good point. But here's what I did learn. What to your point about retirement? I think in the States they have 401ks. I don't know, Teresa, correct me on our break if I'm wrong. But yeah, with RSPs, right? We did a lot of RSP loans, tax strategies, get them a tax refund, the good debt, bad debt conversation, drive up their child tax credit, their baby bonus and all of that good stuff. But I remember just joking about, going into a bank. I work at a factory. I don't know anything about money and finances. I see all these commercials on TV about RRSPs or RRSPs or whatever, and mutual funds. I'm like, mutual funds? I thought that was when, me and the girl in high school were just getting along in the backseat of the car. We were having some mutual fund. I didn't know. I didn't know anything. Rodeo Drive was about, for me, the closest I got to Rodeo Drive, I used to joke, was Rodeo Shack, if you remember Radio Shack, right?
Yeah,
But
yeah.
with the banking system, I said, if I don't know anything about money, Shawn, and I go into the bank and I say, I'm sweating because just talking about money gives me anxiety, and I say, listen, hi, I saw this commercial on TV about RSPs. I don't even know what that is, but my friends are saying that I shouldn't do it. Can you help me? And they go, oh, of course we can help you. We're the bank. Let me ask you a question first. What's your risk tolerance? I'm sorry, what's my what? Let me rephrase that. How comfortable are you with losing money? Oh, yeah, that I understand. Not at all. Oh, okay, okay. Sounds to me like you should be in a GIC. What's that? Oh, it's a guaranteed investment certificate. Very safe, very secure. Shawn, all I heard, safe and secure. Yeah, I'll take 2 of those. That sounds great. So there I go. How much can you afford? I don't know, $50 off each pay. I don't know, $200 a month. All right, here, sign here, sign here. Comes right off your pay, right out of your account. You're good. Okay, now I'm saving for retirement. I get my statement at the end of the year. I'm like, Myrna, this is investing. I would have done probably better just leave it underneath the pillow. This is crazy. I'm going to go in and cancel this GIC thingy. So I go into the bank. Hey, I want to cancel my GIC. I don't pull my money out of here. Oh, sure, no problem. Sign here, sign here. Where's the rest of it? Oh, sir, you get taxed on it. I get what? Well, if you pull it out, it's deferred. It's not you still have to pay the tax. I'm like, I knew this was a scam. I should have listened to Joe at the factory, at the plant. He told me it was a scam. I should have listened to him. And there we go, off and running. And it just carries on and on. People don't have an education. And I love that that's what we're talking about here. You're not selling anyone anything. You're educating people. But where do we get to a point where people are, I don't know. I guess my question then, Shawn, is there something we can do better to get more people to be receptive to this information? We're trying to do our part here by just creating a platform where we're going to have people hearing you talk. Like every week, we're going to do this Money Matters and have different speakers come on. And for me, I have a large network in financial services, and I have no favoritism to what company they represent. I love that Teresa's here, but she represents herself. She doesn't even really talk about the company that she's with. And I love that, because there's a lot of preconceived notions out there about different companies. Like one bad apple can spoil the whole bunch, but there's a lot of good companies out there. But it really comes down to the agent. Are they putting the client first? Can you speak to maybe that, doing what's right for the client?
I definitely can. And I'm not going to lie. You can go search on the internet for the company that I work for, or any financial industry out there, and you'll find there's bad stories.
Yeah.
I know of I've been told of stories of agents that are in similar company than I am that have maybe done things that weren't necessarily what should have been done.
Right.
But what I can tell you is that, you're right. The reason that if you're looking at choosing an agent, whether it's me or someone else, Teresa, anybody else that's available in this industry, the biggest thing is you want, as I said earlier, they need to put you first. There are options out there. Like you talked about, you got taxed. or you went into a GIC. Like a GIC barely covers the cost of inflation right now. There are
Yeah.
options out there that are not taxed.
Yeah.
And there are options that are possibly, well, not possibly, definitely getting you an better returns.
Right.
But the biggest thing is if you're looking at something in this industry, find that person that's going to put you first. Like the big thing that we do with ours is we don't sell our own insurance. We go out to the market and we find what the options are that potentially are best for you, and we'll present like a good, better, best.
Okay.
And then you decide, because maybe that best one, while it may be what the coverage you should have, maybe you can't afford that, but maybe let's look at what you can afford, and maybe it's a combination of some term insurance and some whole life insurance. Like really, we look at that holistic picture.
Right.
What best makes sense. And why I keep saying we help people dream again is because we consider into that. Well, what are your dreams? What does that retirement look like for you? What is your future? Like, are you having kids? I'm a father of 4 myself. Like you look at that picture of where you want to go and how you want to get there. And then we come up with a plan that will help to the best ability we can. Of course, we can't guarantee anything, but the best we can to make that happen.
I love it. I love that. And Donna, you may have to have the editors edit this out. Haley's here. Hopefully you're going to be helping us with some of this post recording editing. But I just want to get it out there. I just want to say it. I remember, as I mentioned, GICs, we used to say it's a guaranteed investment certificate. I said, it's guaranteed insufficient cash. GICs, and I don't know what they have there. We are going to take a quick commercial break, and when we come back, we're going to open it up to questions or comments from our studio audience. So don't go away. We will be right back. All right, and we are back after a quick commercial break. If you joined us during our commercial break, we are here on Money Matters at the time of this recording, Wednesday, January the 31st, and we are super excited to increase financial literacy. I'll tell you, it is an interesting world out there, and we are all in this together. We were talking before the commercial break, if the cost of living is going up, and income, wages, and salaries are not going up to compete with that, it's inevitable. Things are getting tight. And man, I remember coaching a family one time at the kitchen table, Shawn, and I said, like you said, we want to get people to dream again. They've given up on their dreams. And I'm a Christian, so I'll use, it says without vision, people will perish. And in the Bible, it also says that, the wealth of the wicked is held up for the righteous. There's all sorts of things in there, like the borrower is servant to the lender. That means we're not supposed to be in debt. There's all sorts of stuff to reference it. I remember saying with this couple, let's just call them Joe and Nancy, because that's the names I always used at the kitchen table, Joe and Nancy. I said, guys, could you imagine being debt free? No debt. What would that be like? Joe looks at his wife and he goes, what would we fight about? And I say, we laugh about it, but it's been deemed a statistic that the number one strain on marriages is financial stress, whether it's a layoff, an illness, or obviously we talk about the hardest one, which is income protection, the foundation of a financial plan. Unless it's changed since I left the industry, man, you better build a house on a strong foundation. And we used to say that was life insurance, that was income protection. But Shawn, I'll turn it over to the crew here for any questions or comments. But when we talk about life insurance, we used to call it the love test. At the kitchen table, I'd say, Joe, we like to say you can tell how much a man loves his wife by how much money he'd love to leave her if something ever, heaven forbid, was to happen to him. And I'd have Joe say, well, I don't want her to run off with some other man with money. I said, Joe, you can't be dead and jealous at the same time. We used to have some fun at the kitchen table. Let's see if any of our studio audience have either a question or a comment. I see Donna. She is grinning as they do out in the east coast of Canada and Newfoundland. Donna, I don't know if you've ever been on a financial conversation like this. That's why I love the platform. If we can have people that would never have had even the comfort to talk about money, it's a tough one for a lot of people. Donna, do you have any questions or even just a comment for our VIP guest this evening? Over to you.
Absolutely. First, I want to say thank you so much for coming on. Just hearing you guys talk here is a different atmosphere than I ever was. We didn't talk about money in school. My parents didn't talk about money. We never really came from money. And I remember the first conversation I ever had, I was 17 years old, just had a baby. And I had these people come in, sit down at my table, and tell me that I should take my full child tax credit and put it into the GICs and RRSPs and a whole bunch of the stuff. And I'm just like, I don't even know what that means. I don't know anything about this. And from that conversation, I'm 33 years old now, and there's never really been another conversation. So I am a single mom now of 3 teenagers. I don't have a penny in the bank. I have student loans. I have bills. Where would you say I should start if I were to start now?
The biggest thing is to start, period. And I know that seems like a very broad statement, but like you say, most people are afraid to have that conversation, either because they're embarrassed that they haven't had that conversation yet, or their parents said, no, you don't talk about money with other people, right? And unfortunately, a lot of the things we heard when we were younger form the habits we have when we were older. So the biggest place to get started, I think, is sit down with someone in the industry and have that financial needs assessment that looks at your budget, looks at where your money's coming in, where your money's going out, and talk about those goals and dreams, and then get that financial picture painted. Because for me to turn around to you and say, Donna, you should start with this, that would be ill-advised of me. And I know there's a lot of people out there that have done that. But if I haven't taken your needs assessment first, then that's not fair to you. That's not looking after your needs. That's looking after my needs. So that's why I say start with a needs assessment, have someone take a look. A lot of people in the industry, like myself, doesn't cost you anything for that needs assessment. It's free. We'll come out, sit down with you. We'll do it over Zoom. We'll do it in person. And we'll sit down and we'll look at what you got. And then we can make some decisions. And then we can say, hey, let's start here. And then we'll go from these steps forward. Make sense?
Amazing. Thank you.
I love that she has a smile on her face when we're talking about money. Don't be shy about it. Hey, listen, more good people with more money can do more good things. Nothing wrong with that. Don't be shy. I used to say, listen, it's hard to witness to your landlord if you can't pay your rent. Christians are like, oh, it's not about money. Money is the root of all evil. It's the love of money. The love of money. It makes good people better people, makes bad people worse people. It's not the money. Thank you, Donna, for being here and stepping into that. I'm so proud of you. Now, this is going to be awesome. I want to throw it over to Teresa. We are right at the top of the hour. So respectfully, we'll just go a couple more minutes here, if that's okay, because I just want to turn it over to Teresa. 2 different countries, guys. We got Canada and USA here. So Teresa, I'm super excited that you're here because you're going to be a VIP guest on here. We'll get you connected with Donna to book your time slot. But is there anything you would like to offer, add, or share? Over to you.
Oh, thank you so much. I did not expect that. So, Shawn, everything that you said is, sounds so familiar and so right. I learned a lot from you. So thank you so much for your share.
You're welcome.
So yeah, for the US folks out there, I'm Teresa Abad. So, as Shawn have said, gotta sit down with a financial advisor who's gonna discuss your financial goals, not theirs, but yours. Gotta start dreaming because that's where we need to be. It's like I came across this book long time ago, like 6 years ago, titled Dream by Dutch Sheets. And that's how my journey started. And I did not even finish that book. But in that book, I read that, you know, God wants us to dream. And regardless of how old you are, it doesn't matter. We got to keep on dreaming. And because God is a God of dreams, and he has a lot of dreams for us. He has a lot of purpose for us that he wants us to do. And the will of God is what we want to do in our life. So just, you know, just sit down with a financial advisor, and all the money stress will be gone. I mean, not right away, but at least you're gonna have a stress-free, you know, you're gonna take a deep breath, and you're gonna say to yourself, you know what, I can do this. You know, Donna, this is a good time, you know, just start. I've been in your situation, you know. I'm a single mom right now, and since I started this business, I tripled my net worth just by doing the right thing. So yeah, you could do it. Yeah. Thank you.
And
Awesome.
I
Awesome.
100% agree
Thank
with
you.
that.
Yeah, thank you for being here, Teresa, and thank you for your share. So with that, we're going to turn it back to Shawn just to close us out. Really, we call this a call to action. Shawn, just for our listeners, we have just over 6,000 downloads of our podcast, and we're pivoting it to Spotify. We just did this Podbean free app just from June, July, and August. So for 90 days, it was just a test kind of proof of concept. And before we knew it, we had 137 episodes and 6,000 downloads. We could not believe it. We're just so blessed, so grateful, but we're only just getting started. We haven't scratched the scratch of the scratch. You can see I'm here doing my own intro music on my phone. I mean, this is real life, folks. We can't make this up. But I think COVID really woke a lot of people up. You either had to get bitter or get better, and it was a choice. And there's a lot of people that are stepping into new identities. And it's been about 2-3 years now. And now there's this new confidence of people. And I think the time is now for us to, you know, we're all in this together. It doesn't matter if you're with 2 different companies. I love that we're not talking about the name of the company, because I don't do business with companies. I do business with people. We don't build businesses anymore. We build people, and the people build businesses. So I'm really excited, Shawn, to make this new connection with you. And I got to thank Angel again. So if you could close this out by just letting our listeners and viewers know, where can they find you? Where can they follow you? How do we get them in touch with you if they want some financial coaching?
Sure, for sure. Well, first of all, I want to thank my friend Angel as well for the referral today to be able to be a part of this podcast. I really want to congratulate you guys on the success. You've done a lot, especially to grow that kind of viewership in a short period of time. You guys should be definitely proud of that. But
thank you.
You know, to just follow up on what Teresa said, you know, a lot of us forgot how to dream as we got older. You know, we were really good at it as kids, but we've forgotten how to do it as adults. And what I can tell you is there are ways you can still dream, and there are ways you can have that money you need for retirement so you can fulfill those dreams. The biggest thing is you have to sit down with someone, and you need to take that first step. Have them take a look, see what they can be, you know, and where they can go. So if you're interested in having that assessment done, and you're in Canada, I can help people in Canada. I can help you by Zoom, or I can help you in person. I'm in the Edmonton, Alberta area, but I also have people in Red Deer and Calgary as well.
Nice.
And we're going to be soon expanding to Ontario, so we'll have some people in your neck of the woods. But anyway, if you're looking for that, my business consulting side is TechWins Capital on Facebook. Just go search TechWins Capital, and you'll find me. And very soon, I'm just in the process of putting it together. I have a new page going up. It's going to be, just go search for Shawn, SHAWN, Helps. And it's our new page that we're just launching that talks about investing in people so they can dream again. And we're going to put up a bunch of content on there that talks about, you know, some of the things we've gone through, how we've used it to learn to do better things, to be able to dream again, and give some of the more of the information that we gave today. There'll be some extra stuff to be able to complement that. So again, Rod, thank you and your team for having us here today. I really appreciate it. And, hopefully everyone learned something today.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Well, that wraps up another edition of Money Matters on FCTV. Thank you again, Shawn. We also want to thank Teresa and, of course, our very own Donna. We even had a fly on the wall. We want to thank Haley for being here with us, as well as Coach Adams a little earlier. Once again, my name's Roderick H. Norville for the Full Circle Podcast. What's your story? Reminding you to live the life you love, because we believe it'll make you smile more. Have a great night. God bless. We'll talk to you guys soon.
See you later.